South Florida's premier law enforcement agency is now hiring individuals like you. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department is now accepting applications for non-certified and certified police officer positions. Minimum requirements and qualifications can be found on flpdjobs.com. That's flpdjobs.com. Are you ready? The city of Fort Lauderdale is an equal opportunity employer.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
All right, we come in. It is the Raw recap. Raw is off the air, of course. Squared Circle Digest joined you here in the studios of Miami Gardens. Sean Stanley here. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Sean_Stanley11. And a lot to get to. And a lot to get to that doesn't really necessarily deals with what you saw on TV. The big news coming out of Raw is that Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of the TV tapings. There was a release statement by WWE. Originally, remember, the match was scheduled to be a six-pack challenge with Naomi, Sasha Banks, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, Asuka, and Becky. That was to be the main event tonight. A six-pack challenge to see who would get Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell. All of a sudden, about right after the cage match, I guess it was announced that it was going to be Asuka versus Becky. And some things about Sasha and Naomi had left, and WWE issued this statement. When Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations, John Laurinaitis' office, with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship belts on his desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequences. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. So a couple things to break down there. And AKW Beach, yo, and Steve Chapman, what's up? Sean thought Raw was pretty good. The Miz notwithstanding, you just can't stand the Miz. But on this situation here, it's going to be interesting because it was reported before the statement was released out on Fightful. Sean Ross Sapp, he had a whole thing about everything that had happened, and then at the bottom, it stated that Naomi was scheduled to win the six-pack challenge, which means she would have been the competitor getting the shot at Bianca Belair. And again, Sasha and Naomi both put their belts on the desk per the statement from WWE and left the building. And then if you just saw the main event, Asuka is now heading to Hell in a Cell and will challenge Bianca Belair. The interesting thing here is that in the statement from WWE, now I got to get it back up here. I apologize. They claim they weren't respected enough as tag team champions. I mean, this is going to be something that you can break down and look at because to me, there have been two really good WWE women's tag teams as champions. Bayley and Sasha, which They were the first tag team champions. 2 months later at WrestleMania, they dropped the belts. And now I think Sasha and Naomi are two competitors that could carry this division up to what they want, but they haven't really fought anybody. So I think, and then now you want to have Naomi, who is the tag team champion, scheduled to win to become the number one contender for the heavyweight championship. So what does that do with the tag team titles? I'm sure what Sasha and Naomi want to do is defend the tag team titles and get those on pay-per-view. Make those belts mean something. I believe that is more what they're stating here than anything. And they're not getting that respect from, I guess, creative, if you want to look at it that way, however you want to do it. Now, I don't know what the results of this are. And again, remember, it's pro wrestling. This could all just be a damn big work too, as well. Okay, this could just be something to say, hey, we're going to say you guys walked out. We'll have Twitter and all these, formats blow up, social media formats blow up, and then, we'll work from it there. We'll see how it takes off because people are choosing sides. There's already a Team Sasha hashtag. And, again, they're under contract. It's one of those things to where it is very interesting to see where this leads because ultimately, they're under contract. So WWE can just be like, okay, sit at home. I saw somebody else say it's going to be interesting to see if Sasha and Naomi, show up somewhere else. But the problem with that is this. They're still under contract. Sasha, I believe, just re-upped. Not sure what Naomi's got left. They'll just have them sit at home and sit there and rot at home. They're under contract. They're not going to be able to get, if WWE doesn't want to let them out of the contract, that's not going to happen. So the walking out, again, what did it do for Stone Cold when that happened? And Stone Cold was in this twice, and I'm going to get to your comments in a minute, but it was during the cage match, Bobby Lashley. And almost. Did you see that? They reused the Stone Cold Big Show from Valentine's Vengeance, the finish. When Big Show debuted in WWE, it was Vince McMahon against Stone Cold, and Big Show came from underneath the ring, picked up Stone Cold, and threw him into the cage. The cage falls down. Stone Cold rolls off and wins. They did the same thing with Bobby Lashley tonight. And there we go. But now apparently there's going to be an almighty challenge. So Stone Cold picked up his ball and he went home. Sasha Banks and Naomi, I guess, too, have picked up their ball. And the one thing that's interesting about Naomi is there were reports that she may start coming in line with the Bloodline storyline. I don't know what this does with that. And then an interesting thing that came out also with Edge and Judgment Day was that they wanted Harland, and I don't know if anybody watches NXT, they wanted the Harland character to be brought up to the main roster to be their fourth person. And when Edge started pushing for that, Harland got released. WWE, baby. All right, let's get some of these questions here. Derek Bombreak, what up, bro? Didn't watch, but heard the chaos and some live streams talking way too much. It's going to be interesting because, again, this could all just be a big work, man. This could all just be a big work, and they're going to get out of it. The only thing that I kind of go against it being a work in a way was the little jabs that Corey Graves was giving at the announce table, the unprofessional walkout by Naomi and Sasha, so some of those things there, it's like, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And ultimately, look, Sasha's a moneymaker for Vince. Could it be another one of those stories that happened with the Click, right? When Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, this was before the days when kayfabe was something that was, held in high regards at Madison Square Gardens, which at the time was WWE's biggest moneymaker, their home, their big home stadium. It was Kevin Nash against Shawn Michaels. After the match, Razor Ramon and Triple H go out. They do the bow. They, everybody in the ring, all, heels and faces together. They hug. They do all that stuff. It goes to the back. And then Triple H is the one, facing the punishment. Shawn Michaels wasn't going to get punished. He's the heavyweight champion. Nash and Hall, they're gone. Sasha Banks, the moneymaker. Does Naomi get anything out of this? Which is why I go back to the whole thing about her possibly getting a run with the bloodline. What do they do there with that? If anything. But again, as I say, take everything with wrestling as with a grain of salt. Believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Excuse me. Wouldn't surprise me in the least, Steve says. Funny if WWE complain about promised events and stars when WWE has clearly advertised matches in the past knowing they wouldn't take place. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, but again, what they do a lot of times is, for instance, what they did with the unification titles, right? They're like, oh, WrestleMania Backlash, bam, and then they had Roman come out and kind of put the kibosh on it and turn it into the six-man. So they can work around. So they have a storyline kind of, rumored to finish it there. For instance, tonight, too, you had Ali. That was supposed to be a United States title match against Theory. That changed 100% and became Veer against Ali. So, I mean, they can change the matches, but again, it's one of those things where I think this got so much, whether they thought it would or not, it got so much attention that, look, the last hour of Raw, I was jumping around on Twitter trying to see, which reports and see which reporters were reporting what to see what actually happened, because there's a couple that just kind of, were piggybacking off some things. And there's some people that got some insight into what was going on. And then WWE released a statement at about, I think it was about 10:25, 10:30. They came out with their own statement and then kind of solidified everything. So again, I don't know that they say everything they said if it's a 100% work. Now, again, could cooler heads prevail by Friday on SmackDown and everything gets worked out and they come back as if, water under the bridge. Asuka's now going to take on Bianca Belair. That's probably a better matchup. And now let's push. Maybe they make the statement and say, look, now we're gonna push the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We're gonna give you that push. We get it. We hear what you said. They kind of make each other, make them happy. And it'll be water under the bridge, and it'll just probably be dropped, So we'll see. AKW Beat says, Booker T says you always have to work. This definitely could be a work. No, 100%. 100%. Jaime Zaria, I am not going to say anything about smashing the like button as to not upset our friend Steve. No matter what, still smash it. Please hit the like button. Help me out. He said, yeah, I thought it was pretty stupid that almost just stood there while Bobby was incapacitated and could have easily worked out of the cage. Yeah, it's one of those things. I was trying to figure out how they were going to work that match. And I love the interference from MVP, the Cedric Alexander. And then ultimately you have the power of Omos throwing him through the cage and out, which is kind of, as I said, reminiscent of what they did with Big Show and Stone Cold when Big Show made his debut. Steve says, I'll smash it first time in good faith. Then it's your turn. Let's see. That was Vince and Corey's ear. Probably 100%. 100%. And it was cool. Did you see Kevin Owens on commentary? I think he got one of the announcers to slip up and call Ezekiel Elias. And then Kevin Owens kept changing. Whenever they said Ezekiel, he was saying Elias. Look, man, it's entertaining, if anything. This whole, Elias, Ezekiel, Kevin Owens. I wish Gable, though, and Otis would get pushed more back toward the tag teams. I like the comedic efforts of Gable, but at the same time, man, they had such a good thing going with the tag teams that I think Kevin Owens can handle this on his own. I don't know that he needs that Gable little push there and everything else there. Caesar Carlos V. I'm sorry, I thought I said Caesar. Carlos V said, and thanks to the curtain call, we got the ascension of Stone Cold and Austin 316. 100% true. 100% true, because Triple H was scheduled to win that King of the Ring, and that is the one where. And then also the good thing that happened with Stone Cold was he fought Jake the Snake Roberts, because he had no idea that he was going to have to do a promo after he won. And then he said that he looked at, Jake Roberts, because he had been, preaching the Bible, because he had turned his life around again. And he was, so that's where he's like, you thump your John 3:16, well, Austin 3:16 says, whooped your ass. And then from there, boop, gone. And if you saw at the time, it was Doc Hendricks, but Michael Hayes' face there, it is one of those things where, it's an organic thing that just catches on, man. It's one of those things, there's always that one thing that just kind of hits, and the fans are like, wait a minute, did you just say that? And for Riddle right now, what they're doing now, the RK Bro 420 says, I just smoked your ass. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at no time did I think WWE would allow that to be said and go across there. But again, they're pushing the envelope up a little bit, but also not going too far. So they're keeping it PG as much as they can, but also catering to the other fan base as well, to try to, again, get that another little grasp of fan base. Second time that Sasha goes rogue during a tag team title reign. Now this, and the first taking place at Mania 35, when her and Bayley losing to the Iconics. Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's tough, man. It's tough to be, and I mean, I'm not saying, you guys sit here and feel sorry for them, but you sit there and you build your character, you build your gimmick, and sometimes you're fed just straight shit, and you're like, and in WWE, you don't have that much creative control. There's only so much you can do, because do you want the job? Do you want to sit at home? If you sit at home, you get the downside. If you can get the upside if you're on the road, So, I mean, ultimately, I think Sasha's probably got more things to be able to do outside of WWE now. But ultimately, Vince has kind of got you where he wants you. You're going to do what he wants. And again, it was as simple as maybe hearing them out today and saying, okay, I understand what you're saying, but we're going to go this route, and this is why. But my understanding was that she also met with Vince, and neither side would budge at all. Neither side would just budge a little bit to see, again, to Sasha, her thing is elevating the tag team titles. I've heard her talk about it on other podcasts, on other things and things like that. Her whole thing is, I want to elevate the tag team titles in the women's division. Excuse me real quick. Vince's idea, and again, this goes back, again, the one thing that I will say about WWE is they don't advertise, because I don't think they understand. They know what the hell they're going to do until it's almost, gained a 6-pack challenge for the Raw. Why are you bringing SmackDown talent over for a Raw heavyweight title? You know what I'm saying? Why are you having Raw and SmackDown superstars? And I get it. They're the tag team champions, so they can go to both brands. But why even put them in that match? You have such other talent. If you want to bring other SmackDown talent over, then why not bring Raquel Rodriguez or some of the younger talent, the Aaliyah? You have all this other talent you could have put in that spot. Why do the tag team champions have to go into a match that's going to be the number one contender spot for the world heavyweight champ, for the women's world championship? on Raw. That it just a lot of the stuff just it's almost like Vince saying, you're going to do what I want you to do, and you're going to do it because I tell you to do it. Because to be honest, it doesn't make a lot of damn sense to put your, and especially, you know, if Sean Ross Sapp, and usually he's pretty spot on, if what he's saying is true and Naomi was supposed to win that, why are you putting your tag team champion as the number one contender for the Raw heavyweight title or Raw women's title? I'd have to disagree with that too, especially if I'm sitting here busting my ass night in, night out to make these titles mean something. And then you're going to throw together a 6-pack challenge all of a sudden on Raw for what? To boost ratings? I guarantee you this show drew maybe a 1.5, 1.4. There's nothing amazing on this show. It's just Vince McMahon trying to say, I'm going to have you do what I want you to do because I want you to do it. And not budging at all. Not taking that step back and saying, big picture, what am I doing here? No, I told you to do this. Now you don't want to do it, so I'm going to make you do it. Okay, you don't want to do it? Okay, then. And then you're forced your hand. At that point, you force the hand. You know, in some ways, I say kudos to Naomi and Sasha, especially if they know what the finish was. And Naomi knew that she was going to go over and become the number one contender for the Raw women's title and said, you know what? I'm with you, Sasha. I agree that we need to make these titles mean something, and both of them left. I say kudos to them. It didn't need to be the 6-pack challenge. And then also, if you take them 2 out, why couldn't you still have the 4? Why did you just all of a sudden make it a 1-on-1? You know, and AKW beats, when I saw it come up here, I'm kind of talking myself into it as well. It's almost to make the women's titles mean something. Because all we're talking about now is Sasha Banks, Naomi, and the WWE women's tag team titles. I almost feel like I 100%. I almost feel like this is a work to just get everybody talking about Sasha and Naomi. And we'll get our answer on Friday. If they show up on SmackDown and they open the show or something. If I'm Vince in WWE here, I run with this, man. I run with, even if everything gets worked out and everything is slid over, if this wasn't a work and I would talk with Side and be like, look, this is what we want you guys to do. Forget coming through the front. Forget coming through the back. You're coming through the front. We're not even going to have you booked. We're going to have you just come in, act like you got a ticket, sit there and watch a show. Out with the fans. Because the fans are going to get behind them. Because they're against WWE. They're against Vince McMahon. They're against The Office. So they automatically are going to be on Sasha and Naomi's side, regardless if it's a work or not. CAKW said, Stone Cold King of the Ring moment was amazing. I watched it on YouTube. No, it was amazing how everything, you know, and I don't know if you guys watch any of the other WWE programming on Peacock. If you do watch any of the Stone Cold sessions, man, there's just some amazing stories. When you sat there, he sat with Bret Hart, and I went back. I don't think this is a new one. I think I went back to when they're fighting. But the fact, you know, he was like, you know, you made me, you made my career, and everything there, and you get to hear, you know, everything that went into the match. You know, they had a lot of disagreements, but they understood what was good for business, you know. And again, when we talk about what's going on right now, can WWE, Naomi, and Sasha figure out what's good for business and start running with this somehow? And again, I don't know where Sasha stands on this. I went to look, and apparently, I'm just going to tell you this now. This is reported by another dirt sheet. In the last day and a half, she has unfollowed Vince McMahon, the Usos, Bayley, Becky Lynch, the main WWE account. There were 6 accounts that she had unfollowed. So now she only follows 6 accounts. She had 12. So again, take it for what you want. We understand it's the same thing as when we talk sports and everybody unfollows their team that they're on, right? Because they want to trade and everything else. Sasha, I believe, is just re-upped, and Naomi, I believe, is on the con. So anybody thinks they're going to get let go, I do not see that happening. So if this isn't a work, I don't think they're showing up anywhere else. Unless there's a forbidden door. I'm just kidding. There's no forbidden door. No forbidden door. Now this news kind of took over everything else. But another thing that got announced today, and I want to get your takes on this. Nature Boy Ric Flair, 73 years old, stepping back into the ring July 31st in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, there's been some leaks a little bit about this match. And if what is being leaked out is true, it looks like it's going to be a 6-man tag team match with it being FTR and the Nature Boy taking on the Rock and Roll Express and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is at 69 years old now. But apparently somebody in his team is saying he is coming back in as well. They want to do one last match. And it looks like it's going to be a 6-man tag, not a one-on-one. I don't want to see a one-on-one. I'm not going to sit here and say, I want to see a one-on-one. I don't look, if Nature Boy wants to wrestle, do I think he should? No. But if he wants to go out there one more time and it's in a 6-man tag, and him and Ricky Steamboat want to tear it up one more time in front of, thousands of fans in Nashville, you know what, man? I mean, as long as he passes everything, he's healthy. Because again, remember he had the heart stuff and everything else there. I mean, as long as they do it right and everything, it's not just, get him in the ring and no matter what, do the right physicals, do everything you got to do. If everything is passed correctly, then let him go have one more match. Let him go have one more match. Steve said, embarrassing, don't do it, Nate. I mean, I've watched, he's taking backdrops, man, with Jay Lethal. I mean, it's like, dude, enough, man. It's like Sting jumping off the damn balconies. And Steve says they'd fit right in with the other senior citizens at AEW. Yeah, but at least they're not, necessarily out there trying to, I'd be happy if Sting just came in and did the Stinger Splash, Scorpion Deathlop, and everything there. Yeah, it's 73 years old, and plus it's in a training ring. I mean, Jay Lethal looks scared to touch him, man. Greater good 6-man tag match first created by Championship Wrestling from Florida. Is that true? I love all the guys mentioned. However, I have no interest in seeing that match. I watched Terry Funk on the Indies. It was sad. Near the end, yeah. Near the end, yes. But also, here's the one thing that I will say this, man. If used correctly, these guys, look, man, you can't bring them in and think you're getting a 4-star, 5-star match. I loved what a lot of the guys did down here is they would bring in those talents and usually team them up with somebody. So then, we had let's go back a few. We had Snuka here, but he was always in 6-man tags and things like that. Let's see. I wrestled Earthquake and Typhoon in Naples, and it was a 6-man as well. If you do it right, and they weren't that old. They weren't that old at that time. That's nowhere near what Terry Funk and all that stuff is. But I was also on a card when it was Dusty, Abdullah, Kevin Sullivan, and Terry Funk, and all four of them could still go. They weren't doing all the the crazy stuff. They were just doing a fight, man. And that's again, if booked right, you can make it go. I just don't know that, again, I don't want to see Ric Flair taking backdrops. I don't want to see Ric Flair getting slammed from the top rope. I don't want to see him try to do the corner flip outside the ring. Just come in, do some chops, maybe drop a knee, lock on the figure four, whatever you want to do, and then tag out, let FTR and those guys, go. I mean, again, they're the Rock and Roll Express in there. Look at what Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson are doing, man. Frankie Fresco, hey Sean, what's up, Frankie? I mean, look at Ricky Morton, bro. I mean, dude, still going, man. They're fighting the Briscoes. They fought FTR. There might be a match with the Hardys soon. And again, I mean, it is, if done properly, and they're not doing the double drop kick a whole lot anymore. They use it once, and that's the end now. Ricky's not flying all over the place. They get it. They understand, their limitations. And I think that's where sometimes maybe with some of the guys, you have to let them, figure out that they're limited still. They're limited now. It's one of those things, man, but again, he's going to do it whether you want to see it or not. I just want to make sure that he's doing it right. Make sure, he passes all the physical. I know there's some people writing to the athletic commissions and everything else there. I don't know if Tennessee has an athletic commission. That might be why the match is being done there. But hopefully the promoters and everything, supposedly it's being run under Jim Crockett Promotions again. So we'll see. I mean, if they're going to do it regardless. So if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But look, man, maybe just the entrance to the ring. Do all the, whatever there, but just I don't want to see him have a 60-minute match. I don't want to see him do a singles match. Let's just do it, get it done with, and let's keep rolling. Don't forget you can get on the chat. Make sure you throw your questions in. It'll be around for about another 10, 15 minutes. We got AEW this Wednesday. Let's see. Did you like they started Raw with the cage match, or should they have probably done it maybe halfway into the show? No, I think you had to do it at the beginning or at the end because you've got to put up the cage and take the cage down. So ultimately, basically production logistically, you either do it at the beginning or at the end. I just think the middle would be a little bit too much with the cage they use now. So, I mean, again, it just lowers down and locks, but it still takes a little bit of time for a 2-minute commercial break. And then you come back and play too much things. I don't think it's a bad thing. Again, remember, WWE doesn't, I think if AEW does it, because AEW does the blood and everything else, I think, yes, you don't put it at the beginning because there's nothing going to really top that for the rest of the next 2 hours. Yeah, no. I mean, Charlotte doesn't want to see it. And again, I mean, most people, look, man, if you love the Nature Boy and everything else, you probably don't want to see it because, again, when's enough, man? Because if he does this and he feels good after, you don't think he's going to do it again? How many damn times has he done it? But going back to the thing, I look, in AEW, no, but in WWE, you can get away with that opening match because they don't do the blood. And it's very interesting because tonight, for those that watched, for those who didn't, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins 3, Rhodes versus Rollins 3, will be in Hell in a Cell. So it's going to be interesting to see any blood from Cody. Because in WWE, they don't want the blood. There's ways to get around that. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that match goes. I'm here for that as well. I was surprised they did a cage match on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised they did it that quick. because what I thought they would do is they're almost doing it backwards, because next week he's challenged Omos and MVP to an almighty challenge. I think they should have worked those first and then finally got it into the cage to quote unquote stop all of the outside interference, which they're still going to come in and do ultimately for the cage matches. But I mean, look, WWE doesn't do the blood stuff, so at the same time, it's basically just another match. They don't use the cage like they used to use the cage and grinding faces and everything else like that. So it just turns into another match. You're just doing it through the lens and the cage for theatrical effects, sort of like I'm going to do right now inside the cage. Let's see what we got here. Carlos V. Even though I was disappointed that Flair wrestled as a tournament match at Mania 24, his stuff with Lethal and TNA was great, especially Lethal cutting the Flair promo. Yeah, no, that to me was some of the best stuff. And then when he did his interview with Chris Van Vliet, Jay Lethal, I'm speaking of, and said that all that was off the cuff and they ad-libbed everything. Flair just said, "Follow me, kid." And he went out there and he did his thing, and then Lethal went back at him, and then they went back and forth for a good 5-10 minutes with some gold there. That was gold. That content was gold. But again, man, I mean, I have seen enough Flair single matches. If Flair wants to wrestle, then if it's going to be a 6-man, then let him do what he's going to do. I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody's going to say. He's going to go until, he's Ric Flair. Yeah, bad story writing. No, there's a lot of bad story writing. So we've got a couple things. AEW coming up on Wednesday. We're not far from what is it? Double or Nothing pay-per-view is the 29th. Wardlow is got to get 10 lashes this week on TV. I do kind of find it kind of odd that WWE that AEW is already kind of recycling some of their stories. Remember, for Cody to get a hold of MJF, what did he have to do? It was the 10 lashes. Then it was a cage match with Wardlow. Then he got the match with MJF. This is 10 lashes, cage match with Sean Spears with MJF as the referee. And then also, then he gets the match at I keep wanting to say All In, but at Double or Nothing. And then, you saw tonight. But again, you're looking at, they did the cage finish that they used with Stone Cold back a while ago. This was when Stone Cold and Vince McMahon were hot. They just brought in Big Show from WCW. This was his debut at the pay-per-view Valentine's Vengeance, and he threw Stone Cold into the cage. The cage falls. Stone Cold gets out with the victory. So again, everything gets recycled. It's just, to me, in less than 3 years, you're starting to recycle things with the same, with MJF. It too. That's the other thing. It's like, let's get something better going here, And also another story with MJF. I think, a lot's been said about his contract, and apparently there's been no official contract talk between AEW and MJF other than the one time when they kind of were at odds over where he thought he should be. And that's kind of where it's been at. And now you get the jabs here and there on TV from MJF about, 2024 and everything else. And you get Cody saying some people are leaving and this and that. Yeah, I'm going to the event in July here. Yes. Yeah, I'll be at that event. Yes, I'll be at the, I believe it's July 17th. Yeah, I originally was not going to be at it because I had the dates wrong for, we are heading to St. Augustine, Daytona, the weekend before. I thought I had it as that weekend, but it's the weekend before. So now I will be there. Yeah, let's meet up, man. When it gets closer, let's discuss and see. Let's meet up. We can talk some stuff, talk some wrestling. There, Frankie. But with MJF and thing, it's going to be very interesting, man. As I said, because the one thing AEW always said was they were going to do the tiered pay, and I go back to this all the time because their pay structures wasn't set for Bryan Danielson's. Their pay structure wasn't set for CM Punk's. You know, you had your Chris Jerichos, you had your EVPs, and then everybody else was kind of younger talent getting that break. So the tier worked for that. Once you started bringing in, you know, Miro and Christian Cage and all these guys, that doesn't work anymore, man. You can't have these guys down here, you know, because they're new into wrestling, even though they're making the name for AEW, and then you bring these guys in up here. These are the guys that built AEW. These guys are bringing in, and I saw somebody set out, I think it was Eric Bischoff on his 83 Weeks podcast, says that CM Punk's the biggest financial flop. He didn't say what, he didn't know what they were getting paid, but they said there's no way they're getting return on their investment because their ratings have gone down consistently. There's no way they're getting their return on investment for what they are paying. Oh no, Frankie, I'm not saying I haven't met you before. I was just saying we can meet up there too as well. That's all, man. Good deal. And I'm terrible with names, man. I have to meet you a couple times before. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm going to have to meet you a couple times. I'm terrible with names and face. Once I know your face, though, I'll be set. But I was saying with the pay structure, it wasn't set up for what they got there, man. It was not set up to be, you know, high price talent. You had your EVPs making, you know, their scale. You had your Chris Jericho pay. You brought in Moxley, which was another big signing. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of big money. Once they started signing those big names, that changed the game. And when you have MJF as probably your leading heel in the company, how can he not? I mean, him and CM Punk, you know, were fire together. So how does he not get paid? I'm not saying he gets paid like CM Punk, but he's got to be getting paid better than your other guys on that roster. So AEW's got a lot of work, man. They've got a lot of work to do, man. And Frankie, I'm not going to say they don't need to sign the Fiend, but they first need to they need to get some house cleaning and figure out what the hell they're going to do with what they have right now before they keep signing all these guys, man, because it makes no sense to me. You have all these guys, homegrown AEW talent that you homegrown right here, and you're just going to let them go to WWE and make more money because you don't want to pay them? But then you're going to bring in guys that WWE made that do you think, let me ask you this, and I don't know how many people are watching because my screen up there is froze there. Do you think today that CM Punk is loyal to AEW? Do you think that he wouldn't just, wrestling's not for me and leave again? Do you think he's loyal to AEW? Let me see here. It says, like Keith Lee. See, that's where I think you're wrong, Frankie. I think Keith Lee was a hell of a signing. I think they're using him like shit. Just like WWE did. How do you have this guy? This guy is just oozes charisma. And you just stick him down and down and down. The only place I ever saw him used good was NXT. Triple H knew how to use Keith Lee. When they were doing the Undisputed Era and Keith Lee, and they were fighting, and then Keith Lee got out of the ring, and Adam Cole came running down the ramp, and he freaking speared him into the freaking crowd. That elevated Keith Lee. Keith Lee could be a champion, but nobody uses him right. Nobody uses him right, man. I have to disagree with you on that one. Yeah, but I don't think it was a bad signing. I'm not just because. But again, one of the things I think that they need to do with the house cleaning too is to create a creative department. Tony Khan can't run a freaking company all by himself, man. You've got to start figuring some things out, and he can't sit there every week and write. And I get it's only a 2-hour show, but he's also instilled himself in Dynamite, or I'm sorry, in Dark Elevation, Rampage. So he's back there the whole time running stuff, and there's just too much going on right now. I think stuff is starting to slip through a little bit through the cracks. And I think you need to sit there. You need to put up a big board and say, okay, here's our top tier. Here's our mid card. Here's our guys that we could do without. Start figuring out there. Then give your TV time. Bring Eric Bischoff's not going to AEW, buddy. He'll go there to collect the check. He ain't going there to work. AKW Beat says, yeah, they're using Keith Lee wrong. NXT used him right. However, he doesn't look as fast as he was in NXT. Looks kind of old right now. But again, he's not working every day. He's not doing, dude, he came off the illness or whatever the thing was that happened, the COVID, and he got something else that WWE found with him. I don't know what the whole situation was, but he was held off TV for a while. Then he was brought back, and then he was cut. Excuse me. Ooh, then he was cut. The problem is that when you're not used consistently, you just start not giving a shit. I mean, just think whenever you're not being used by your job or whatever, you're just kind of put to the side. After a while, you're just like, okay, I'll just come in, collect the check. And that's the other thing with AEW too is I don't know if they have enough heels. You have MJF, you have Undisputed Elite, but after that, what is there? Where's your mid-card heels? You used to have your Kip Sabians, those guys that were little antagonists, little gnats, little pain in the asses. All your heels are top card. You're top card heavy on your heels. I like Ricky Starks, so maybe you can throw him in there, but I just don't think they use him enough. Same with Powerhouse Hobbs. I think those two could be, but other than that, who do they have? You had FTR, that was a pretty good damn tag team, but now that you've turned them babies, which I think is the right thing to do because they were starting to get over. But other than that, you have no really mid-card heels. Especially on the men's side. On the women's side now, you've got, Jade, you've got Britt, which are, I think Britt's top. And then Jade kind of right now with the TBS title. I think ultimately she's going to be top. But right now she's getting there. The baddies thing is working for her, and it's bringing a better thing for Jade Cargill. I think that is definitely there, but they're definitely struggling there. They have to figure out some things. Yes, House of Black, you're right there, but how often do they get used? I mean, they're working the freaking Varsity Blondes with Julia Hart right now, they're working the whole angle, which again, I think it's going to be a good angle once Julia Hart comes over and everything else there. But that's stuff that could kind of be worked on Dark and Dark Elevation and then played in a vignette on Dynamite. Here's what happened on AEW Dark last night. And you can bring it on there. Sometimes I think they try to cram, again, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Shucky Ducky Breaks. What's up with Sasha Banks? Her and Naomi took their ball and went home, left the titles on John Laurinaitis' desk, and left the tapings tonight, or left the live Raw tonight. that is where we're at there. WWE did release a statement, and you can rewind to hear all of that in its the Acclaim. Yes, Frankie, the Acclaim. But again, when are they used? When's the last time you've seen the Acclaimed on Dynamite? Jade has grown on me. She's a star and she knows it. Y'all know Jade oozes confidence. She's just got to get a little bit more fluidity in the ring. Nothing about her presence. Her presence is phenomenal. Her presence, she's a star. She's a star 100%. You know, I agree with you there. She knows it. And the whole thing now, though, is to get that fluidity in the ring. She's starting to get it. It's starting to click. But they need to keep her in there with, you know, your Chris Statlanders, those the ladies that can help her through a match until it clicks for her. It's almost there. And she covers it up a lot because she is so damn confident in herself, and rightfully so. So she covers up a lot of the, you know, negatives by just taking it nice and slow in the ring. And then she does her little stands there, right? She does her little poses, all that. She talks a little bit to the ring. She understands it. And now that she's got the baddies with Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan, I think they're on to something there. Oh no, she's getting 100% better, 100% better. And when she does, I think you'll end up seeing her push to the WWE, the AEW women's title. I think she's next in line for that probably. Let's see what else we got. Frankie says, I really like the Acclaim. I love the Acclaim. I think they're very entertaining. I just don't know that they get used enough. And also, I forgot the Jericho Appreciation Society are heels as well. But the problem is, again, it goes back to, and then I know you guys have brought this up. There's so many goddamn factions. I mean, everybody's a group. There's no, I mean, hell, what you have, and then also the Andrade, it was the Hardy financial, whatever the hell they were, House of Hardy or whatever the hell they were. Now they're with Andrade. But again, they're factions. It's just so many, everybody's a faction. It gets hard to keep up with everything because it's like faction, it's like gang wars. That's really what it is. I mean, think about it right now. You have what right now you're going to have, so it's Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Darby Allin, and Sting, and they're kind of geared up right now to look like they're going to go with the Undisputed Elite for a little bit. Jericho Appreciation Society now was with the Blackpool Combat Club and Santana Ortiz and Kingston. That broke out last week. You've got Hobbs and Starks. They're going to with Swerve and Keith Lee. And now they've kind of thrown Jurassic Express in there, which I think that would be a pretty cool triple threat match for Double or Nothing on May 29th. So there's a lot of things they can do. I think they need to sit down and just say, not saying, look, man, Tony Khan has done a tremendous job with AEW. But I think if they don't kind of reel it in here soon and start figuring out what is best for business, sorry to use it of a WWE term, because what's best for them right now is to make MJF happy. What's best for them is to make Wardlow happy. Because then if WWE does offer them more money, they may give you that homegrown discount. Again, they're not going to turn down a whole lot of money, but they will give you a little bit of a discount because they know they'd rather dance with the devil they know than the devil they don't know and they've heard a lot about in Vince McMahon. If you know a Tony Khan, okay, he's the devil, but I can dance with this devil because he gives me a little bit of creative. When you go to WWE, it'll be all, you get that honeymoon. Right now, Cody Rhodes is on that honeymoon. I mean, my God, the guy had a timer. As soon as the show started, Cody Rhodes on the show in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 46 seconds. Let's see what happens in 2 or 3 months. Cody Rhodes' timer will probably be to see when he's leaving. For instance, they need to bring already those belts for those groups of 3. Yeah, I believe what I heard was they're waiting for Kenny Omega to return. But again, I think ultimately you're starting to see more trios starting to set up. So I think you're going to see that more than sooner rather than later. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold off until Omega comes back. Cody is a big deal right now. No, Cody has made himself a big deal. Cody has set himself up as a big deal. And Cody is being pushed as a big deal. The problem with WWE and everything else is that what's a big deal today, in about 3 hours, could be complete crap. It's what happens. No, hey, he's got fireworks when he walks out, and then he's got fireworks when he poses in the ring. But hey, budget cuts. They had to cut somebody. I mean, that's why what's his Dexter Dumas? That's probably why he got cut. All these guys that got cut. Dakota Kai. All those that got cut recently because Cody's fireworks, and now the counter. You got to be able to have the counter and the fireworks for Cody. So they had to cut 3 wrestlers for the budget, even though they made $338 million. But hey, we'll see. But also one other thing I want to go over, kind of YouTube, because again, we use YouTube on this show as our format, and it was very interesting to me because everybody's always said that WWE's in trouble, and honestly, I thought AEW was closer than what they were. So I had this chart. See if I can find it real quick. So I had a chart, and it was very interesting when I saw this, and I had it up, and now apparently everything is gone. Of course it is, but here it is. WrestleNomics support. Where was the YouTube? Here we go. So this is the YouTube views, okay? And what they did was they did WWE, and then they did 15 combined. And the 15 combined were AEW, All Japan, Beyond, CMLL, DDT, Dragon Gate, Impact, Limitless, MLW, New Japan in English and New Japan in Japanese, Noah, NWA, Ring of Honor, and Stardom. So those 15 are combined in the one number, and WWE is by themselves, okay? This is estimated YouTube views. In 2019, WWE had 9.3 billion views. Those 15 combined were 1.1 billion. In 2020, WWE had 15 billion views. Those 15 combined, 1.6 billion. In 2021, 12.2 billion for WWE, 1.3 billion for the 15 combined. And then when you look at WWE, AEW, their first year was 57 million, which was 2019. Then they jumped up to 370 million. And now in 2021, again, good for them as a company, they are increasing. They're up to 540 million. So that's a 46% increase. Whereas WWE jumped up 61% between 2019 and 2020, but then fell 18% in 2021. But they sit at 12.2 billion. AEW is at 540 million. And again, that's looking at the ones where you say they're close. When you start looking at things and everybody's like, oh, AEW is close. Yeah, not so close. It's not so close when you start looking at everything that goes into that. Because again, on the YouTube, that's money also. That's money coming in. your shops, all that stuff. There's really, it's not really a, again, I think it's a fun thing to do as fans to say, hey, it's competition, but in the big picture, man. But again, remember, WWE has 30 plus years. WWE is, technically, since 84, I guess you could say, when they went, away from territories. But you're still, man, there's so much, AEW now is the time in your infancy. And 3 years is not that long. Not that long, man. You can I'm not saying hit a complete reset, but you can clean up what you need to clean up right now, and then keep going forward, because you're having increases in your YouTube views. So people are going to your products, and you're putting out good content on YouTube with your dark and your dark elevation. But again, when you look at those numbers, and I got some other numbers, I'm going to do every week we'll do a different number and look at some of the ratings there and go from there, man. But I appreciate all of you guys tuning in with me today. AKW Beats, Frankie, what else we got? Shucky Ducky Breaks, Greater Good, Derek, Jaime, Carlos, Steve, all you guys. I appreciate everybody that was in there. I'm not sure if I said Carlos, but Carlos, thank you, my man. And Reese, appreciate everybody on here tuning in and being with me. Wednesday, we go live right after the AEW Dynamite. Again, they got the 2 wild cards. Looks like they're going to introduce 2 new wrestlers, a woman that will face Britt Baker and a men's competitor that will take on Samoa Joe. They're just listed as jokers. I'm not sure if they're going to be returning or somebody new, but we'll see what happens there. And we'll be here at 10:05 right after AEW goes off the air. As I say all the time, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for allowing me to talk about something that I'm so passionate about, and you guys tuning in and feeding the feedback. And also don't forget, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Sean Stanley 11. It's right there. And I appreciate you all. Love you all. Good night. So long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-83